The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavior loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from. Are you allowed to be happy in a world that is just burning down? If your friends are in hell and you stand there smiling, is this okay? Like, isn't this bad if you just let things be bad? I always felt like my own happiness isn't allowed, because if I am happy in a world that is so shitty as this one, with so much injustice and just immense amount of suffering, then I would be complicit. So I didn't allow myself to be happy because, I thought it would be like smiling while standing at the sidelines while other people are just in immense suffering. And in this way, I kind of put myself also in this place of immense suffering, because I felt like I either needed to save the world or I just needed to suffer with the world, but I couldn't just, accept that. But if you are rational about this doesn't make any sense, because if everybody were to think this way, then this would be hell. Nobody would have the right to be happy ever, because there will always be somebody to be helped, which is some kind of intuitive empathy that points us to something that really matters, like relieving suffering matters. But it doesn't mean that it's your responsibility to make other people's life better. You first and foremost need to make your own life better. If you don't allow yourself to be happy while other people are suffering, you are not actually removing the suffering. You are adding to the suffering, first and foremost. Like, you're making it worse because you're not taking yourself in first. Another thing to wonder about is, well, if I just accept that everything is shit and I'm in this world where everything is shit and I just kind of like live my own life and don't really care about everyone else, like, isn't this extremely selfish? Isn't it selfish to be happy? And it is selfish. The point of your own well-being is to care for yourself. And that's just it. Yeah, that's the core tenet of what the desire for well-being tries to do. It's about caring about yourself. Now, the beauty in it is that if you do truly empathize with others and you care more about yourself than others, but you also have the empathy, now you're actually in a position to make any goddamn change, because you're putting your own oxygen masks on before putting it on other people. And also, this entire idea that you must help people who are suffering also puts you into this odd position of responsibility that you also haven't asked for, and you're kind of forcing yourself to run a sort of hero complex role, because now the entire burden of the universe is on you. And if you don't follow that burden, then you're just also like a bad person propagating the suffering. You need to embrace a burning world if you want to make it through this world, because you are not going to make a dent in the suffering of this place. You're not going to change much. Not that the change that you do cannot be significant, like just saving one cat's life that would have rotted in like some sort of clinic, or just having one meaningful relationship that makes the life of this meaningful relationship better is enough. That's what most people just can do, and it's fine. If you think about the powers that be, like the billions and billions of dollars that are being spent to support the most heinous crimes ever through all of human history. Like you just cannot compete with this. The amount of egoic evil and force in this world is not your burden. It's the responsibility of each of us as a collective. And only then can you slowly but surely rise awareness in your own community to understand the unison between all things, to understand how it matters that you can connect with life, connect with your own environment, be content in your own environment without making other people's problems your burden. They are not your burden. They are not your responsibility. Responsibility is just really the ability to respond to a situation, but you don't, like, if you have to respond to a situation, it is not freedom anymore. It is just something that it's your sense of duty. And it's not that this is bad. Like, people have a sense of duty for all sorts of stuff, like for their children and their companies and all of this. But if you always operate from the sense of duty, you're not really connecting. You're hustling and you're fighting. And it is not a joyful way to live. You are creating your own hell in this framework. Embracing of the dark aspects of the human psyche will lead you to a sense that is much more peaceful. Because if you accept that the human ego is what runs this place, and it is what makes people want to exist to a large extent. Like, people like being seen as prestigious. People like having power. People like that, they can make a name for themselves. They like to be able to have a lot of money. They like to be able, to have a lot of, sexual availability. Like, all these things are not what anybody really wants to give up, or like most people don't want to give up if they have it. And there's the sense that if you want these things, that you're like kind of part of the problem, and that you're not supposed to want power, and not supposed to want money, and not supposed to live life to the fullest in such a dark place. Well, then you're also again part of the problem, because you're basically saying that even though you also have the same drivers for money and power, even though you also have the desire to have an impact, it's actually the impact that is the problem, and it is the desire for these things that is causing all of the world to run, like, to ruin itself. So therefore I should not want these things. But if you do not want these things, and those who misuse and abuse their power want these things, then how do you think does this world look like at the end of the day? If we can find a way to feel fulfillment and feel the power of our own identities, and move towards sincere power in our own environment, despite the negative connotations that this has, accepting the dark aspects of your human psyche, and still moving through with it from this place of wanting the best for yourself and others, then slowly you do make a change in the world. And each person that is affected by your life is significant, but you will only be in this place from a sensation of joy if you can let go from the sense of needing to do this or having to do this. You can be content doing jack shit. There's nothing you need to do in order to be happy. Absolutely nothing. I mean, you have to eat, you have to take your naps, but there's no moral duty. And then you can actually be virtuous, because you're not doing this because some God-given testaments are forcing you, but because sincerely, in silence and space, you suddenly think, I do want to make my life better. That's actually a very natural thing to want. If you want to understand how to merge this need for spiritual peace, while also not neglecting the fact that a lot of people are burning in hell right now, and you would like to make an impact on that, then I would recommend to subscribe to my Substack, because I'm going to make an announcement for something that is there to help exactly this sort of mindset. And I think it's going to be quite amazing. For me, there was this realization that all this desire to not be happy if the world is like this was a sort of vanity thing. In a weird way, I was exactly the reason why things were how they were. Because if everybody thinks to themselves that this world is just too bad to be saved or too bad to be improved, what I'm actually saying is that I don't value myself. I don't value my own experience. I don't value this environment in which I find my experience in. And yeah, no wonder that if you don't value yourself, the world treats everyone like this. Only if you value yourself, you can be treated differently because you're going to command change. You're going to command that your boundaries are respected. You're going to command that you are allowed to be content and not being dragged down by other people's manipulation or being dragged down by other people's ideological intentions for you. There's a freedom in recognizing the darkness that is possible in this almost infinite perception. It seems like that there's so much suffering out there that putting your mind into this headspace is just an endless endeavor. Like the reason that hell exists is because you can lock yourself into a mind state where you're constantly trying to escape the present moment and then have the sense that nothing ever changes and everything is just this badness for a seeming eternity. And this is where hell is born, because you're trying to escape something that has no escape, and then you believe that the suffering is part of the nature of existence, but it is not. The suffering is completely made up. It is the fabric of your own mind creating this very negative view of the world, which it is so easy to fall into because just a sober look at reality has all of these negative aspects to it. It's sobering to recognize how much suffering there is, how much pain there is, how much evil there is, and evil in the sense of people just trying to destroy other people's lives for their own personal gain, creating suffering for their own personal gain. Like all of this is so immense that it is very easy to want to just look at this, but it is kind of blind because there's so much more richness to experience, and there's way more than egoic vanity on this human planet. And an over focus on the bad aspects will make it so that you only see the dark aspects or think that the dark aspects are like what most of reality is like. When what I find very useful, and it seems very counterintuitive, but embracing the darkness, because it is kind of the mechanism that gives our world stakes. It gives our world meaning. You can feel pain, and this pain makes things real. If there was no pain, you could not survive. So all is basically needed. You need the contrasting darkness. You need the opposite force to have anything at all. Like existentially, without freedom, you cannot really have anything, because then reality would be limited into one particular structure. And the structure that reality is limited to is pretty much how you are building your own brain. How are you building your sense of identity, your own sense of self-architecture? Nobody wants their friends to be stuck in hell. But if you are going to try to help people that don't want to help themselves, you're just going to get dragged into it. You're going to get dragged into it and get nothing out of it except just carrying other people's pain that they are not willing to carry for themselves. As hard or as cold it might feel like, if somebody doesn't want to help themselves, they cannot be helped. Only people can help themselves. Only you can look at your own relationship to existence and make a change in that relationship. People can help, and help is very useful. You can have a lot of impact on other people's lives, but ultimately don't get dragged down in other people's journeys. It will not serve you well in the long run. Deep compassion and deep care is being present with a person without trying to change them. In the same vein, deep compassion and deep care is being present in the world without having to change it.